If you're considering getting a 0% tax residency, but you don't want to be spending 6 months a year in a country or 10 months a year or 90 days a year, or any amount of time that may be, this video is for you and this option is for you. Today we're going to be talking about Paraguay. We're going to be talking about how to obtain tax residency and what is the rule in Paraguay when it comes to the minimum requirements on time to spend in the country and basically getting tax residency. So I went to Paraguay, I would say about 10 months ago, maybe a year ago. And it was a cool trip. It was a very nice trip. I obviously met some very interesting people, very interesting lawyers that got me a lot of information about this country, as well as a little overview of the place. Great meet, great if you like to shoot guns, very chill, very away from, I would say, a lot of the problems that South America may have in terms of security and crime. Paraguay is pretty chill. We don't really have that happening too much over there. So definitely an interesting country to look into. Now, would I want to live there? Would I want to spend a lot of time there? Probably not. It's a little underdeveloped, to be very honest. And I would say it could be an interesting place to spend some time during the year, but definitely not a majority of time. That being said, it's not an issue because Paraguay is one of these countries that does not really require you to spend a minimum amount of time on the territory. It can still grant you access to its tax residency, make you a tax resident, and fully benefit from the country's laws. It is a territorial tax, so there will be no foreign income tax in Paraguay. You will be at full 0% if you bring money from a different country. So obviously, in this case, it makes a lot of sense to get an offshore company, pay yourself from your offshore, receive the funds in Paraguay, and basically just benefit from the 0% tax system that's in place. So definitely an interesting country in that sense. How do you get access to tax residency? You firstly need to get access to temporary residency. That temporary residency is basically a 2-year temporary residency. And originally, you need to make a first application when you arrive in Paraguay. And you need to bring 2 documents from your country of origin. Those 2 documents are a criminal background check as well as a birth certificate. So you have to show your birth certificate, criminal background, and you need to have a mention, which is the mention of apostille. So essentially, an apostille, for those who don't know, is basically a document which states the validity of a document to a specific location, a specific country. So in this case, your apostille would have the mention that it is specifically prepared for Paraguay. And so those 2 documents, birth certificate and criminal background, need to be apostilled so that they can be recognized by Paraguay and essentially be considered legal documents there. So that's the way to go about it. The reason why they do this is because they want to make sure that people coming to the country are not coming with documents that can be faked, because obviously they don't know how it works in every single country. So they want to make sure it's adapted to the Paraguayan law. So you essentially bring that. You make a first visit. That first visit grants you access to what they call the precary temporary residency. So they give you a document saying that you basically got your application sorted out and you're now waiting to be able to obtain your ID and basically become officially a resident. That is what you need to do for your first visit. Now, before it was possible to get everything sorted out at once, but unfortunately the law has changed and now you have to make 2 visits. You have to make a first visit for your residency application, provide all the documents, and then 45 days later, you have to make a second visit so you can make your identity and biometric check. That is essentially you going to make photos of identity, fingerprints, basically just a super basic check so they can have your identity informations and they can issue your ID from there and basically proceed to the completion of your temporary residency. Now, an important thing to mention is it is extremely important to work with a lawyer in Paraguay. If not, it is impossible to work without a lawyer if you want to be avoiding spending time in the country. If you're okay living there, spending time there, it's totally fine. You can do the entire process without a lawyer. It's just going to take a lot longer, but it's possible. If you know you just want to go there, take care of everything, and then leave, you will need a lawyer because the lawyer is going to assist you on a variety of different things. But the major ones are essentially the capability of obtaining documents on time, because it's South America. At the end of the day, things take a lot of time. Things might get delayed of months and months and months and months. And if you want to make sure that everything works out fine, you have to know the right people. It's a lot about the network that you have. And obviously, a lawyer that makes a lot of temporary residency applications has the lawyer network that will allow you to get everything basically fast tracked and get the results much quicker than if you would do everything yourself. So that's the first thing. Second thing, they also will be able to help you to essentially get your documents, even if you're not in Paraguay. So when you've done the second visit, for example, you got your identity and biometric check. After this, you need to wait until your ID is issued. And if you're not assisted by someone that can take the ID with a power of representation, with a power of attorney, you will not be able to leave the country until you get your ID, whereas a lawyer will be able to ship it to you, so you will be able to get your card even if you're no longer in Paraguay, and that is obviously a big plus. And last but not least, the lawyer is going to be the one making it possible for you to avoid having to be in the country for 90 days a year to be able to get tax residency. I will go upon this topic in about probably a minute or so, just finishing with this, and then we'll talk about tax residency. Essentially, another thing, temporary residency obtained in 60 days against maybe six months, if you would do it yourself, depending on obviously the period of time that you're making the application. Also, language barrier. I speak Spanish. I could take care of everything myself because of that, but most people don't. And obviously, if you don't speak Spanish, there's no point in trying to do anything by yourself because Paraguay Spanish is complicated. And if you think you know a little bit, you will struggle because it's just a whole different system, and you have to navigate the language really well if you want to take care of it. So obviously, language barrier is a big one. Staying in Paraguay, obviously, in this case, you need maybe 2-3 days of actual time spent in the country in order to progress towards your tax residency every time that you're required to be in Paraguay. So very quick, very advantageous. You can just pop around South America. You can go first visit, do a 2-3 day trip in Paraguay. Then you go to Colombia, or then you go to Argentina, or you go to Brazil, or you go to Chile. You just explore South America, and then you come back 40 days later, 45 days later, and you complete the process again for 2-3 days, and then you're off. It's basically the best way to go about it. And if you plan to do a little tour South America, I think it's a great opportunity to also set yourself up. Obtaining your tax residency without presence required. So Paraguay works in the following way. In most countries, when you want to be able to get tax residency, you need to stay a long time. You need to have some presence, show ties. In Paraguay, it's not the case. In Paraguay, the lawyer can make a document for you stating that you live in the country, proving it with basically making a legal statement, a document, proof of address that she can provide or he can provide. And essentially, that's it. When they have that, you're able to stay in Paraguay and you're able to have tax residency, whether you stay there or not. So that's the reason why it's such an interesting option. And that's the reason why it is really a great way to be a digital nomad and still legally pay 0% tax with a real setup, with justifications, and with everything, all the documentation to be able to prove that you have tax residency in Paraguay. I hope you liked this video. I tried to keep it concise. If you have any question, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. If you want to get a Paraguayan setup, feel free to comment under this video as well, or directly contact me on my Instagram, and we can do it for you, and we can advise you on the best way to go about it. Wish you a great day, and I see you guys in the next video.